I'm Linny Cook Saverline, and I'm a producer on WoW Classic. Back at BlizzCon, we had the absolute pleasure of finally sharing Season of Discovery with you all, and we've loved watching all of the new challenges you've overcome, the meta you've created, and the adventures you've all had in Phase 1. And now we'd like to chat with you about Phase 2. Today we're going to do a brief overview of some of the new adventures in store for you. Our topics today include information about our new 10-player raid Nomergon, dungeon updates, rune ability updates, PvP updates,
Bon, la
profession
traduction,
updates, and more,
bon,
which should
hein.
help answer some of the questions we've gotten around our previous phase and where we're going with the new one. We're going to bop through our slides pretty fast, so you may want to pause or watch back through the recording if you want to catch everything on the slides. We're also going to put the build up on the PTR soon. We're doing something similar to Phase 1, where we only make the era and hardcore content available, not the season itself. It is likely there will be some data mining, but beware, not everything you see data mined will actually be in the patch. This build will contain some experimental things, stuff for later phases, and things that maybe didn't work quite how we wanted them to. We're going to start off talking about our new raid Nomergon. Our assistant lead designer, Tim Jones,
Ok,
will be
donc le
walking
nouveau
us through
raid,
it. Take it away,
enfin
Tim.
le raid. Donc, Merrigan.
Hello there. Thank you, Lenny, for that introduction. I'm Tim Jones, the assistant lead game designer on World of Warcraft Classic, and it's my pleasure to talk to you more and give you a sneak peek at Nomergon, the second level up raid in Season of Discovery, and the raid content that you'll be participating in at level 40 in Phase 2. Let's get into it. So, much like Blackfathom Deeps, Nomergon will be a 10-player raid.
Donc ce
There will
raid date
be
10
6
joueurs, ok,
bosses.
cool,
There
let's
were
go.
originally 5
Ça me plaît bien.
bosses in Nomergon if you didn't count
Je
the
pense
Dark
qu'ils ont la
Iron
bonne
Ambassador.
formule.
So there's one more new boss
6
that no one's
boss.
ever fought
Je
before.
pense qu'ils ont la bonne
And
formule.
of course, redesigns from the ground up on all of the other
Sur 10
bosses.
joueurs,
So
c'est
brand new
très
experience
bien.
overall. A ton of new rewards and items. More epics than we had in Blackfathom Deeps, with more sources, different bosses than just the last 2 bosses, dropping those new item sets for classes to pursue. The quests and rewards have been brought up to level 40. And there's a brand new profession quest chain that leads into a pretty deep opportunity for people to find materials and craft a lot of really cool and powerful items. Josh will get into that more down the line. But some of the play spaces have had some changes. For people who aren't familiar with the Grubbus and Chomper encounter, you might notice that there are some radiation vents that weren't here. Those will perhaps play a part in this encounter. Crowd Pummeler is now in a different part of the instance. I wonder what kind of mechanics something that punches you really hard might have to do with being on a platform above a pit of death. Who knows? Um, and there's a lot of excited onlookers ready for you to take on this robot. And Sicko Thermoplug, the last boss of the instance, may have added some additional mechanical suits with different properties to his arsenal, and you'll have to face off against those as well. Getting into a preview of the exciting
Ok.
loot. There's some nods to old items. I think the one people will notice is the automatic crowd pummeler. No longer will you have to get individual manual crowd pummelers. You'll be able to pick up one and then use it over and over again with the cooldown. So hopefully that's a great quality of life improvement. There's also some fun items that you can pick up. The Trog Transfigurator 3000, little Orb of Deception style transforming into a Trog. Aragriar's Whimsical World Warper. Play around with it, see where it takes you in the world. And some fun cosmetic items as well.
Lol.
Here's a look at our set items. You can see that some set items actually have specific set bonuses for some classes. And we also have tokens now that will drop. Instead of having a gigantic loot list that contains all of the set pieces, and you're getting frustrated if the same set piece drops for a different class every week, we've introduced set piece tokens that can be used by everyone for a specific piece of your armor. So you can pick, if whoever loots the boot token will be able to turn that into a vendor to redeem it for their set piece boots. With Gnomeregan, there's a couple updates that we're making to dungeons. The first of which are the addition of quality of life skill books. These are skill
Okay.
books that have a chance to drop off of certain creatures in 5-man dungeons, and they add significant quality of life spells to your arsenal that don't take up a rune slot. So we're excited for people to get their hands on these, and hopefully these solve some problems that players have been facing, such as short aura durations with paladin blessings, totem control as shaman, rogues being able to have a spell that allows them to manipulate what target their combo points are on, as well as many, many others that we're excited for players to find when they jump into Phase 2. And I'd like to pass off the presentation to Nora to talk more about rune abilities. Thank you very much.
Hey, my name's Nora Valletta, and I'm a lead software engineer on WoW Classic. The team is very excited for you to head out and find those new rune abilities coming soon in Phase 2 of Season of Discovery. I'm here to give you a sneak peek at some of those abilities, so let's dive in. Paladins. Sheath of Light will cause damage dealt with your melee weapon to also increase your spell power. It'll also cause your critical heals to apply an additional heal over time on the target.
D'accord, donc
Guarded
ça
by the
rajoute
light
un
will cause your
soin
melee weapon hits to restore mana over time. However,
de
the
restaurer
amount
du
healed by
mana.
Flash of
Ah,
Light, Holy
voilà.
Light, and Holy Shock will be reduced by half.
Alléluia.
Hunters. Melee Specialist is a passive ability which will reduce the
Alléluia.
cooldown of Raptor Strike, cause it to trigger instantly, and each usage of Raptor Strike has a chance not to trigger its cooldown. Melee Specialist will also remove the cooldown of Mongoose Bite. Trap Launcher allows you to place traps at any location within 40 yards, and allows you to place your traps while in combat. Additionally, your fire-based and frost-based traps have separate shared cooldowns. Warriors. Rallying Cry is a defensive ability which can be activated to increase the health of all party and raid members within 40 yards. Blood Surge gives some of your abilities a chance to make your next slam instant and cost no rage. Rogues. Use Shuriken Toss to throw a shuriken at your enemy, dealing damage to your target and up to 4 additional nearby targets. Master of Subtlety causes attacks made while stealthed and for a short time after exiting stealth to cause additional damage. Priests. Cast Mind Spike to blast your target with Shadow Frost damage and apply a debuff, which increases the critical strike chance of your next Mind Blast on that target. This debuff can stack up to 3 times. And fan favorite from future expansions, Pain Suppression can be cast on a friendly target to significantly reduce their damage taken and increase their resistance to dispel mechanics for a short time. Warlocks. Invocation. When you refresh some of your damage over time effects while they have less than 6 seconds remaining, instant damage will be dealt to your target equal to 1 tick of that spell's periodic damage, so you no longer have to worry about refreshing your dots at the exact perfect moment. Dance of the Wicked will trigger a buff which increases you and your pet's dodge chance anytime either of you deal a critical strike to an enemy. You'll also both gain 2% of your maximum mana when that happens. Mages. Missile Barrage gives your Arcane Blast, Fireball, and Frostbolt spells a chance to reduce the channeled duration of your next Arcane Missile spell by half, reduce its mana cost to 0, and cause missiles to fire every 0.5 seconds. Chronostatic Preservation is a really cool new spell that allows you to store some of your arcane, fire, and frost energy for later use. You can only hold this energy for a short time before it combusts and expires, but you can unleash it to heal a friendly target. Shamans. Maelstrom Weapon causes damage dealt with melee attacks to have a chance to reduce the cast time of your next Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Lesser Healing Wave, Chain Heal, or Lava Burst spell by 20%. The cast time reduction can stack up to 5 times. Spirit of the Alpha is a 30-minute buff that can be cast on a friendly target to increase the threat generated by that target. You can kind of think of it like the opposite of Blessing of Salvation. While some shamans choose to battle with one weapon in each hand, others prefer to dish out devastating blows with a two-handed weapon. If that sounds like you, then we have two-handed mastery. Each time you strike an enemy with a two-handed weapon, you gain 30% attack speed with two-handed weapons for 10 seconds. Anyways, it's time for me to pass things over to Anna Resendez, who will be sharing with you
PvP
some updates on our new
update.
PvP event. Take it away, Anna.
Can't wait for everyone to discover those new runes. They look amazing. Thank you, Nora. Hello, I am Ana Resendez, and I will talk to you about PvP. In this new level band, we're bringing a new PvP experience to you. You might have seen a little hint on our social media channels about this. So, our new PvP event is called the Blood Moon. The Blood Moon rises in Strangleton Vale, bringing with it
Okay.
absolute mayhem. When Ashenvale was created, we talked about how cool it would be for the event to be triggered by player activity in the area. After going through feedback and seeing how Ashenvale played, in this event, we wanted to take a different approach and make it more predictable so you know when the battle will take place. So, the Blood Moon event will happen every 3 hours, and we have a duration of 30 minutes. Believe me, you will be able to tell when the event is happening. The Blood Moon will shine its effect during this time and bring in a mysterious red fog to the area. During this time, the whole zone will become a free-for-all PvP, meaning allies and enemies alike will be viable targets for your blood rage. Everyone that is in the zone during this time will become a target. During the event, killing other players will allow you to earn a currency, which can be traded for various rewards. We'll talk about the rewards in a little bit. You can still group up, but be warned, the Blood Moon does not smile to those that battle in raid groups and will punish you for doing so. There are those, of course, who refuse to give in the thirst of the blood. If it's peace what you seek, you can opt out of the event at any time by talking to the Sandalari emissary. You will not be able to earn any rewards if you opt out, and remember that General Realm PvP zone rules will still apply. Another big difference from Ashenvale is that there won't be any PvE objectives. That said, not only should you be wary of both enemies and allies alike, you should also keep an eye out for the Chosen of the Blood Loa, who will absolutely destroy you. Does Fell River ring a bell? So, you might be wondering, how do I get my hands on that sweet rewards? There will be a merchant outside of Gurabashi Arena that will assist you with this. What about the rewards? Well, there are a dozen of new class-specific item rewards. Here are some examples of the new rewards that come with the event. Additionally, there are new quests that will help with your Arathi Basin reputation journey. Do you want to see more about the cool rewards? What about a new car? Well, okay, not exactly
Ok,
a
des
car,
nouvelles
but
montures.
yes, you're seeing correctly. There will be 2 new faction-agnostic mounts that you will be able to acquire related to this event. These level 40 mounts have an appearance that is completely new to the game. I hope to see you in the battlefield. And up next, Josh will join us and he will talk to you about profession updates.
Hello, my name is Josh Greenfield, senior game producer on WoW Classic. Let's dive right in and talk about what we're going to be doing with professions in Phase 2. I want to start by saying that we've been really thrilled with the reception to our professions editions in Phase 1. It was really exciting watching people sort of discover and unlock how to create your awesome, void touch leather gloves and your extra planar spider silk boots and all those things. And we're going to go ahead and expand on this quite a bit for Phase 2. There will be around 20 new recipes across all non-gathering professions. This also includes not just leatherworking, tailoring, and blacksmithing, but also alchemy, enchanting, and engineering as well. So we want to spread the love around here. We want to make sure everyone gets something really cool this time. So that's what we're going to do. Just like in Phase 1, there will be an epic quest chain to unlock this, and we won't spoil anything about that today. You're going to have to get in the game. You're going to have to kind of go through that yourself. But if you liked what we did in Phase 1, you'll probably like this too. Next, I kind of want to talk a little bit about just some of the recipes here. I'm not going to go into super great detail about what each of these are and all the stats and everything like that. As you can see, they're very powerful. But one thing I do want to kind of call out is that you'll notice that a few of the materials required are brand new materials to the game, and a lot of them are used across different professions, some of these similar new materials. There's definitely going to be a trading and kind of economy aspect to these new professions recipes. And just like everything with Season of Discovery, we're most excited to see how players share resources and information to make these things. That's all we're going to say right now, but we think it's going to be a pretty fun thing to participate in the next phase. Few other things we kind of want to talk about is alchemy and enchanting in particular. When we were looking at what we wanted to do here, we could obviously add more consumables and we can add more enchants for enchanters. And to a degree, we did. There are new enchanting material recipes other than what you see here. But one of the things about these professions is that in a lot of cases they don't do a whole lot for your personal throughput. If you're one of these professions, a lot of times you can make things, and a lot of times you can make a lot of gold off of having these professions. But in terms of your actual like damage output or healing output, they don't really bring anything that you can't have someone else craft for you and bring. So that's what we wanted to try here. In particular, if you'll notice on the left side, there's this new enchanted sigil innovation. And what this basically is that this is kind of like a world buff that you can carry around in your bag and give to yourself. And essentially, it has a 30-minute duration, but also a 30-minute cooldown. So if you die early, you will lose this for at least some period of time before you can put it back on. Same thing with Alchemist here. They have the ability to make this essentially damage and healing consumable, or damage and attack power consumable, and that also restores a little bit of health and a little bit of mana. So that's just something that's a little unique for them this time, and we hope that you like these things. We're looking for feedback on this sort of stuff for future phases. So now that we've kind of gone through an overview, phase 2 and some of the things that are coming in it, we do want to kind of, I guess, hit a few of the frequently asked questions that we've gotten recently about things in phase 1 and some of the issues that have popped up and how we're addressing those, as well as just some curiosities about what else is coming in phase 2 and how specific things will work. So we're going to dive into a few of these kind of FAQ items and try and burn through as many of them as possible to give you a better idea of kind of what's going on and what our thought process on some of this stuff is. So let's just go ahead and hop right in. We will start today talking about raid schedule. We thought we'd start here because this is a pretty hot debate in the community right now. We've seen a lot of great feedback on this and have weighed a great many perspectives about, kind of when we should release the raid. Should we have it available from day one, or should we wait maybe a week or some other amount of time to unlock it globally at the same time? While it's impossible, we feel, to do something that will make every single person happy, we do think we can strike a bit of a compromise here. We understand that, the server or world first race is not just about who can zone in first. If the raid unlocks at an arbitrary global time. And for a large group of players, it's also about who can get in the fastest after leveling. And it's very exciting for them to see what they can do when they're under geared or maybe without their full toolkit of runes and other like pre-raid items. And so, that is one argument we've heard in favor of not delaying it, and we think it's a very compelling one. It is very exciting to participate in that and to watch that. On the other hand, though, if you're one of those players, the many players who really like to take their time leveling, we realize that 3-day lockout puts you in a position where you may miss several lockouts before you hit 40. And while it's pretty unlikely to actually matter all that much in the long run, as you will have plenty of lockouts this phase, it does still feel kind of bad. And one of the things we wanted to avoid with this season was too much feeling of FOMO. So by way of a compromise, what we're looking at doing this time is we will not delay the opening of the raid, but we will be putting the first 2 lockouts on kind of a normal weekly lockout timer. So that means that would reset on like Tuesday in North America, Wednesday in Europe, and so on and so forth, whatever your regional unlock time or reset time is. This means that the first lockout will occur on February 13th, again in North America, in the morning with maintenance, and then the second will occur the following Tuesday on February 20th, again in North America, in the morning with maintenance. So each region, you can offset for your regional maintenance time.
Donc ils font un truc normal, quoi.
if enable folks who really want to push day one to get in as fast as possible and get that first, like world first or server first clear, or just the bragging rights of saying you did it
Et il
first.
aurait découvert
That's
Day
something that
One.
we don't want to take away from you. But this also reduces the number of lockouts that are possible in that
Avec
time
une cadence
period,
de 3
so
jours,
that
comme d'hab.
players who are
Okay.
leveling a little bit more casually or a little slower pace may not feel like they missed out on as much. It's not a perfect solution, and that's one thing we really want to stress, is that when you deal with a game like World of Warcraft and on this scale, there's no objectively correct answers. There are every decision we make, there's going to be people who like it and there's going to be people who would prefer something else. But we feel that this acknowledges both major perspectives without really depriving either group of something special. So we really hope that you like it, and we're going to keep looking at feedback on this. If this is something that works out well, we may carry this forward into future phases, and if not, we may just go back to the drawing board and try something else. But we really, really, really appreciate the ton of feedback we've gotten from the community on this. We've been watching social media, we've been watching forums, we've really been watching a lot of the commentary on this, and we couldn't have nothing we do without looking at and listening to what you guys are saying. So thank you so much for that. Next thing we want to talk about a little bit is PvP matchmaking. We realize that it can be frustrating to get matched against a full pre-made when queuing solo. However, we do still have significant concerns about completely bifurcating PvP queues into a separate PvP or small group queue. What this means essentially is if you're in a group of 5 or less, you'll have a dramatically higher chance to also get matched against groups of 5 or less. And if you're in a group of 6 or more, same deal, you'll have a higher chance to get matched against larger groups or full groups. If the queues are long or the matchmaker can't find a good group that fits within these parameters after a certain amount of time, it'll abandon these rules and go ahead and match you with the first available so you can at least play a game. But by and large, we feel that this will help the situation a lot for those who just kind of want to queue up solo or just with a few friends and not feel like they're always going against a pre-made. We do want to stress again, though, that we firmly believe that activities like PvP Battlegrounds are just more fun and less stressful when players group up and coordinate. We can understand that if you just want a PvP and you don't want to join a group for it, it can be a little bit more frustrating than you feel it needs to be. But ultimately, coordination within your team, whether it's a pre-made or not, is going to be the key to success in any activity like organized PvP when you're playing against other players. Even when queuing solo, we encourage you to be as positive team members and coordinate with your groups to have the best time possible. So next, another common question is that
Leveling
what
update.
the leveling buff will look like. We mentioned this at BlizzCon, that whenever the level cap increases, we will put in a level an XP buff for the previous level
Un
band.
buff XP
And
pour
so
le
what
groupe de
you
niveau
can expect,
précédent. D'accord.
for that. Also, we've gotten a lot of questions about what you can expect if you say you've done all the quests available to you at level 25, and what do you do for leveling it, from like 25 to 30 if you've done all those quests. So for the first question, we'll be providing a flat 50% XP buff from the 1 through 25 range, so that if you do start a new character or a new alt, or if you have a friend that's joining in phase 2, you should be able to get caught up to level 25 fairly quickly with that buff. The other thing that we're doing in order to help the second situation where you may feel like you've done all the quests you can and you're not sure how best to level, we are going to make the Blackfathom Deeps raid give a very significant amount of experience when cleared in phase 2 when you're over level 25. It's keeping the lockout it has now, a 3-day lockout, to encourage players not to just do it every single day and engage in other activities, but it will be very lucrative and worth doing as long as it continues to give experience, which will probably be sometime into the mid or late 30s. Lastly, Waylaid supplies are also seeing some adjustments. We're not quite ready to talk about the full suite of adjustments coming here because some of them are still undergoing tuning, but we are going to significantly increase the XP rewards for it, particularly in the ones from the 25 to 40 range. There will be new Waylaid supplies turn-ins, and we want to make sure that they're very rewarding and they're something that you want to do. And we're also looking at removing some of the frustrations from this. Again, not quite ready to talk about the full details there, but if you've had concerns with some of the frustrating aspects of them, then we're hoping to address some of those in the next phase as well. So stay tuned for a little bit more a little bit more information about that, and we'll have more as we get really close to patch or the phase launch. A few minor adjustments to
Ashenvale
Ashenvale are
fi-
coming.
Vas-y.
There will be fewer people in Ashenvale specifically when the level cap increases. So we're going to go ahead and move the event to a rigid 3-hour timer, similar to what what Anna talked about with the Stranglethorn Vale event. This will basically be every 3 hours on the mark. And it will happen without player intervention. Do note, though, we don't want to make you choose between doing an Ashenvale battle and a Stranglethorn Vale battle. So the Ashenvale timer will be offset by 1 hour from Stranglethorn. So if Stranglethorn starts at noon, this will start at 1 p.m. and they should never overlap. Yeah, so we're pretty excited about that. And we hope that the Ashenvale battles continue. One other thing that is kind of a common question and topic is kind of what are we going to do with the world buffs in the next phase? Simply put, we're going to go ahead and cap them. The Ashenvale Weekly Cuss world buff is going to be capped at level 39, and the Black Fathom Deeps world buff is also going to be capped at 39. So you can enjoy those while you're leveling, but once you hit 40, you'll no longer basically be able to gain the benefit of those. Please also note that the Stranglethorn Vale PvP event will not actually have a world buff this time, but no Murgon will. Our goal is really to keep each phase's world buffs fun and exciting, but we don't want to add too much overhead to the evolving endgame. And we don't want it to be a slog to have to go all over the world to get all of these world buffs. And especially once we hit 60, we don't want you to have to slog through going all over the world and getting every world buff. That's where we landed on that. We're obviously open to feedback on any of this. So please let us know what you think. Profession specializations. This is another really hot topic in the community. Just like with phase 1, when we capped professions at 150, with phase 2, we will be capping them at 225. And additionally, we've decided that profession specializations will also not be available until phase 3. So that's when the level cap goes to 50. We feel that profession specializations outside of engineering and a few other exceptions are kind of lackluster at original WoW, and we really want to do something fun and cool here, and we really want to take our time to do it right. So for phase 3, profession specializations are going to have a large focus, and obviously we're not going to talk about it now, but do stay tuned for more information on profession specializations as we move closer to phase 3. Thank you. Another common question that we get that is somewhat frustrating to answer, simply because kind of the more we talk about it, the faster bad actors can work around our efforts, but it's botting and exploitative accounts in general. Botting is sort of a colloquial term that includes a lot of things, including just exploitative gameplay that players engage in. And it has a negative impact on the game. It really does. It's something we don't like. It's something we actually hate. We spend a lot of time and a lot of effort trying to combat. And while we can't really talk about the specifics of what we're doing, we do want to talk about some really exciting new tech that's coming with phase 2. We've had this in limited testing on live, both in classic of its various flavors and modern for quite some time. And we've seen some very positive results from it. And so we want to set expectations that there's never going to be a time where World of Warcraft or really any online game is going to be completely free of bad actors and malicious accounts. But we're very positive about the results we've seen from this new tech, and we're really excited to see it rolled out. Paradoxically as well, kind of the more effective we are at some of these things, the more outwardly visible the bad actors can become. A lot of times following many of our ban waves, you may actually see increased bot activity as bot farms essentially spin up new accounts and start over. But there's been a few instances of this happening. We do a large ban wave, and then everyone, I see videos posted online of streams of bots going from one part of the world to the other. But when you see that stuff and when you report it, it actually helps us clamp down on that new method as well. And it gets the bot farms into a position where they are constantly kind of 2 steps forward and like 2 steps backwards. So that is really helpful. And as much as it's frustrating to see, we really want to encourage you to continue to help us by reporting things. And we're going to continue to do exhaustive work on our side for this issue. Always a frustrating thing, never easy to talk about, but we really appreciate your patience with us. So the last topic that we really want to talk about, and this is kind of a big one, is just jumping right into it, starting with phase 2 of Season of Discovery. We're going to be experimenting with a new policy change. GDKP will no longer be permitted in Season of Discovery realms. And to kind of recap, for anyone who does not know what GDKP or gold bid raids or dungeons are, it's essentially a
Ça, on
rare
l'a
dungeon
expérimenté
run
l'autre
where
jour.
the loot rules is that all loot that is distributed is essentially purchased with gold. So items, an item will drop. It's then put up for bid by the loot master or whoever's doing the loot, and interested parties then bid gold for the item. When the highest bid wins, and when the gold is received, it's split within the participants of the raid. This is something we've been discussing for a very long time on WoW Classic, and it's not a decision we've arrived at lightly. It's fair to say that GDKP has some benefits to individuals who don't want to be tied to a traditional guild or set raid schedule, and GDKPs are, while largely transactional, another social activity in the game, and we're always hesitant to discourage anything that gets people in groups and playing together. However, we do remain concerned that GDKP erodes traditional guild and social structures that are in many cases the basis of our most fond memories of original World of Warcraft. And it's undeniable that GDKP contributes to and drives a lot of malicious accounts, illicit activity, RMT, botting, all of the things we just talked about. Season of Discovery is highly experimental in its nature, and we take chances, and this is another chance we're taking. We want to give an honest try to a version of World of Warcraft without GDKP present, and this is our best opportunity for that. So as of the launch of Phase 2 on February 8th, GDKP will no longer be permitted in Season of Discovery. We're going to release additional communications with another FAQ to kind of go with this FAQ, talking about this. And, once we do, we'll have that posted on forums and stuff. We'd really like to hear what you think. And we're going to really monitor feedback closely on this. This is a test, and ultimately this decision came as a result of your feedback. And so, we want to hear more of what you think of this. We want to hear how it goes as we move through this next phase. And if it doesn't work out, we'll revisit this policy for future phases. We really appreciate everyone who has expressed that feedback and concerns on this topic. Thank you. So with that, I think we're done with today's presentation. Thank you so much. Heartfelt thanks from the WoW Classic development team. We've been just actually blown away by the reception to Season of Discovery. We are thrilled that so many of you have been enjoying it as much as we are, and we can't wait to see you in Phase 2. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Be good to each other. Goodbye.
Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Très bien.